All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about top advice that I have for those of you that are struggling team leaders or brokerage owners. And look, the advice is going to be sound, sage, top, most important advice for all team leaders and broker owners. The reason why I'm saying here advice for struggling team leaders and broker owners is I was just asked to be on a podcast yesterday where I was interviewed, on the podcast. And, I can't remember what the name of the podcast was. But anyway, they asked me at the end of the interview of what advice I would have for struggling team leaders and struggling brokerage owners right now in this industry, because there are so many that are struggling here, with what we're experiencing, man, this massive transaction volume decline that we're experiencing. So agents' production is down, overall transaction volume is down, and it's not just agents that are struggling. If agents are struggling, and their business is way down, then, that many more team leaders, that many more brokerage owners are going to be struggling in this climate as well. So I wanted to walk through and kind of break down even a little bit more in depth, the advice that I was able to give on that podcast for these tips, because, I had like 60 seconds to kind of spit this stuff out to them. All right, so, here's, let's just dive into this and break this down. All right, so number one, if you are a team leader or a brokerage owner that's struggling, or whether it's right now or any point in the future, right? Because, it's inevitable that at some point, whether it be now or at some point in the future, you're going to struggle, right? Like in business, you're going to have war, times of peace, times of war. It's inevitable, whether it's, some type of a market shift or something to do with the market or maybe technology, or it could be something that's going on personally that creates some big struggles. We don't know what's going to lead to those struggles, at any given time, but it's inevitable when you're in this industry long enough, when you're building a business. Everybody, doesn't matter if you're Warren Buffett or Elon Musk or Joshua Smith, right? Little guy, me to, the big juggernauts of the business world, to them, it's reserved for all of us, right? Problems and struggles aren't reserved for a select few, right? It's reserved for everybody, and we are going to experience those at different times, right? So then from there, the first thing that I want you to know and understand is that, look, it is okay to go through these struggles, and it is okay to contract. So if right now, if your business is contracting, maybe you had to go through some layoffs. A lot of team leaders and broker owners, that are reaching out to me right now for mentorship, for coaching support right now, which is really a record number of team leaders and broker owners reaching out to me right now because of this market climate that we are in. Number one, understand, again, it's okay to contract. If you had to lay off people, if you had to, maybe you went from 30 agents now down to 20 agents or 10 agents, you had to lay off some staff and whatnot, just understand it is okay to contract. It happens. It takes place. The reason why I'm stating this is I don't want you to abandon your dreams, goals, and visions of creating a real estate business. And by a real estate business, I mean, something that you can build, that you can operate, where if you go disappear for a month or two, it operates without your involvement, right? Like as individual agents, I know according to IRS, yeah, we all have businesses, but I look at that as just a job, right? There's, you in this industry, you can go, a couple of different routes. You can have a high paying job as a real estate agent, or you can eventually grow and expand into a team or a brokerage where you're actually building a real estate business that can operate without your direct day-to-day involvement. So if your dream goals and visions is to eventually create a real estate business and have a successful real estate business that you can, whatever scale you want to grow it to, okay? Don't abandon that, right? Like don't get discouraged. Even sometimes if you got to retract, and you got to contract and retract, and get back in the trenches a little bit, whatever. Okay, fine. Like that shit happens, right? It can happen, I should say, right? It, doesn't mean that it's going to happen to everybody, but it can happen. Don't allow it to discourage you. Don't allow, it's just a temporary thing that you're going to go through. And this can be a massive learning lesson for you. There's so many things that can be learned through this. It's very it's much easier to figure out what to do, than it is to figure out what not to do. So sometimes the greatest learning lessons that we have on our entrepreneur business journeys is the shit that put us into the most amount of pain, so we can go out there and again, figure out, okay, I know what to do, but now I also know what not to do. It's like if you look at Edison, man, it took him 10,000 tries to go out there and get that light bulb working. Right? So if you look at that, we're all 9,999 attempts a failure. You can look at it that way, but no, each of those was a learning lesson of what not to do. So the 9,999 failed attempts led to the 10,000th one that was finally successful, right? So you can reflect back on okay, well, what led to this contraction? What led to me experiencing this? And as leaders, as you're doing this reflection process, you need to take 100% full responsibility. Do not blame this on, this damn agent left me, and they went out there and started their own team and took 20% of my agents with them and it put me in a tough spot. Like, don't pass the buck, dude. Like, take 100% full responsibility. This is what the best of the best leaders do. They take 100% full responsibility, because I'm promising you right now, it's not the market's fault. It's nobody's fault but yours. Or maybe you had this employee that screwed you over, whatever. Okay, well, you hired the employee. You onboarded the employee. You were supposed to inspect what you expected with the employee. You let it take, I don't care if somebody embezzled $500,000 from you or whatever it is that put you in a situation where you got crushed. You allowed it to happen, right? So this is where the power comes in, when we take 100% full responsibility, when we understand that we're the problem, then we also understand that we are the solution. And that's what allows these to become really powerful learning moments for us, right? And you got to like businesses. One of my mentors always says businesses are like a snake, man. And snakes have to shed their skin. Sometimes you got to shed some skin, dude, and go out there and rebuild. So that's number one. Just understand that that's okay. It is what it is. Don't get discouraged. Just stay committed to rebuilding right. Reflect on those, scenarios and situations and those learning experiences. And let's go rebuild, but rebuild better, right? Then from there. So, what we're just coming out of, the longest bull market in recorded history, the last decade plus is probably maybe, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't say this with 100% full certainty, but more likely than not, will be the best real estate market of any of our lifetimes. So when things are really good, you can get lazier on the fundamentals. As the great Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you see who's skinny dipping. When shit's good, it's easy to be skinny dipping in our business, right? But when that tide goes out, boom, you get caught naked, right? Well, a lot of motherfuckers got caught right now as the market, changed, right? And it's not that the market's so bad right now. It's just that it was so damn good. Well, we could detach from the fundamentals. We could get kind of, operational, lazy operationally, and shit was still good. Whether it be, lead sources were just converting great and you weren't having to track, to the extent that you maybe should have been, you were able to have a bunch of waste in your organization because shit was just so good. It was like, okay, you could afford to get away with operational laziness and be okay until you couldn't. Right. And this is where we're seeing a lot of people getting caught right now, getting caught skinny dipping, through this. So then from there right now, and this isn't just because of this market change. This should be how you always should be operating. You just more than likely were not able to have to operate in a strict manner on this. But it comes down to the fundamentals, especially during a tough time. The fundamentals become that much more important. But hopefully, now you learn your lesson of not detaching from these fundamentals and make sure that you attach on them at good times and at bad times so you don't get caught skinny dipping again. So what do I mean by the fundamentals? Right? The fundamentals break down to this. We got strategy, we got processes, we got systems, we got tracking, and then we got people. So this is what I'm talking about here with the fundamentals. Okay, strategy is your overall effective plan to get the results that you want to get. So we got to be laser focused always on strategy. We always got to be refining strategy. We got to be pivoting strategy. What works today didn't necessarily, or what worked yesterday or what's worked the last decade isn't working today, right? And this is one of the biggest reasons. There's a lot of reasons, but one of the big reasons that I'm seeing a lot of people struggling today is they're trying to do shit that they've done, they did, the last 10 years, 15 years, and now all of a sudden those things aren't working. Okay, like you got one of the things that will impact your business, more than anything else, and create the ability for you to continue to grow and scale year after year is your ability to go out there and read the markets. Like, you got to understand this. You got to become brilliant at reading the different markets and pivoting accordingly. Transactions are always taking place, always have, always will. So we got to then understand, identify, okay, who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they coming from, where are they going, and be able to have effective strategies to go out there and capitalize on that market, where the biggest opportunities at based on this market, and those can change on a damn dime. Now you might be thinking, well, Josh, I'm not in production anymore. That doesn't apply to me. Bullshit. That is one of the reasons why your business is contracting and hurting right now, is because you are being an irresponsible, shitty leader by having that mindset. It drives me freaking crazy. Now, I don't get emotional about it because I don't allow, other people's actions to get me emotional, but so when I say it drives me crazy, it's just one of these things that to me, it's such a lazy leader of any brokerage owner or team leader that operates in that way. Because why does a team or a brokerage exist when it comes to their agents? Like, if you're a broker or team and you're out of production and like, okay, remove all your agents, what do you have? You got nothing now, right? So then it becomes reliant on your agent's productivity, your agent's production to go out there and that's going to determine the growth of your brokerage or team. So then from there, it's your job to be able to lead your agent to success, right? So many leaders right now cannot provide the effective strategies for their agents to go out there and create success within their, organizations, and no wonder they're bleeding, right? So, it's like, okay, when an agent comes to, because I'm not in production anymore, so those of you that are out of production, we're all in the same boat here, but I also know and understand that I exist in my agents' worlds to get them from where they're at to where they want to go, meaning accomplishing their goals in the most effective, efficient, and profitable manner possible, right? So whoever can do that in the best manner is going to become the most victorious, right? Okay, we got strategy. Then from there, we got processes, right? So processes is just step-by-step actions that you take to go out there and get the desired result that you want. So you need to have documented processes for everything inside your organization. Anything done more than once needs to have a process, a documented process created and built. Then those processes live inside of a system, right? So you look at, okay, the system is the cookbook. The processes are the recipes. So everything in your business, operationally, whatever, needs to have a process and a system, right? Here's an example, man, when I'm talking to, because I have a lot of team leaders and broker owners right now that are providing leads to their agents that are now either break-even point or losing money where they were profitable with these things. So my first question out of the gate to them is always, okay, well, walk me through, what do your agents do? So when that lead comes in, walk me through what's the first thing that they do, the second thing that they do, like walk me through your exact process. Right, so from inception of lead until that lead becomes a client or a closing, walk me through that. When we're breaking this down, it's okay. What are your agents doing? When are they doing it? How are they doing it? Where are they doing it? What are those expectations that you've set, and how are you inspecting what you expect through those processes? Like, have you set those strict expectations? And are your agents aware of the repercussions based on if those expectations are or not met? Right. So then from there, though, it's like most that I'm having conversations with, I shouldn't say most, all that I'm having those conversations with, that are struggling right now and aren't getting good, solid ROIs on their different leads that they're investing in their agents. It's because they don't have these things in place. And again, in a market like 2021 where everybody wanted to buy, everybody's buying, everybody's selling, it was just like fucking deals could fall in your lap. Yeah, you could be operationally lazy and get away with that. And a lot were. Now today, that isn't happening, right? Like, it's almost to the point where, you're keeping a P&L on every single lead source, and then every single agent in your lead departments, you're keeping a P&L, on those with that. So this is what I mean by processes and systems. Okay, the fourth component, is tracking. Right? We got to be tracking each and every single metric inside of our business. Now, as brokerage owner and team leaders, there's a lot of different metrics that you need to be tracking. And this will depend on if you're giving leads, not giving leads, what your overall system is. But every KPI that moves the needle forward inside your business, you need to be tracking. You need to be measuring. So, as an example, when I'm going to track for recruiting. I'm going to track the amount of energy and effort plus lead sources and all of that. So the amount of energy, the amount of effort, and know the exact numbers per lead source of what it takes to bring on and recruit one agent. Then from there, once I brought on and recruited that agent, I'm going to then know, okay, how long are they with me when they sign that contract until now they're contributing to average agent production. Then from there, I'm going to know exactly what our average agent production is, average company dollar per closing. And then I'm going to know, okay, how long an agent is with me before they end up leaving. I'm going to know what my churn rate is. I'm going to know the lifetime value of that agent is. So this way, my business becomes massively predictable. So many team leaders and broker owners will preach the power of tracking to their agents so they know, how many buyers versus sellers and how many reach outs, conversations, appointment set, appointment conductions, clients, closings, cost per acquisition. So they'll be preaching that to their agents, but then they don't follow their same damn advice on the side of their business, right? Like, okay, you need to know what your churn rate is, what your attrition rate is, what your lifetime value is, what the energy and effort is per recruit. So then that way exactly how many agents you need to be recruiting, what all of this looks like, right? So tracking, you got to know the details and the data inside your business. Then from there, the last component here, the fifth component for the fundamentals is people, right? So you got to know who to plug in, when to plug them in, right? But if you don't have amazing processes and systems, and if you don't have tracked, measured data, it's very difficult for you to go out there and hire the right people, right? Because if I don't care like how good somebody is, they're going to have a very difficult time demonstrating their greatness if they don't have great systems and processes to plug into. Well, then how can I know as a leader, or even how can they know as an individual, what winning looks like if we don't have tracked, measured data so we know what those results should look like? Like when you bring somebody on, you should know exactly who you need to hire, what that position. So what are the roles, what are the responsibilities, what are the requirements that this person needs for those responsibilities, what's the details of this exact position. But then from there, okay, after this person's fully trained and onboarded, what are the results that they must be receiving on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for them to know that they're winning, for me to know that they're winning, and what am I doing to inspect what I expect through this? So if you want to go out there and create a true real estate business, you must treat it as a business. And again, this comes down to these kind of 5 core things that I'm talking about here. So when I say the fundamentals of running a team in a brokerage, this is what I'm talking about. We got strategy, processes, systems, tracking, and then people. This is what allows you to scale profitably, and allows you to inspect what you expect and build this machine, if you will, that then you can eventually build it to a point where it can run without your involvement. And then eventually, if you grow this thing big enough and you choose to, okay, like you can go out there and get somebody to acquire it. But if you don't have a system-based business that is tracked and measured, it's going to be worthless to somebody. It's not going to be worth anything to somebody. So if you are serious about building a true real estate business, this stuff becomes paramount. And these are, the top advice that I'd give to anybody struggling right now, and just anybody that's a team leader or a brokerage owner. So make sure that you're taking these things seriously. Make sure that you document this stuff and you get this shit dialed in inside your business ASAP. And if you want help putting this stuff into place, go to gsdmode.com, click on my coaching tab. Click on the coaching tab on there. You can learn more about my personal coaching and mentorship program, which is designed for team leaders and broker owners that are wanting to build a system-based business. Essentially, I'm giving you everything inside my business, everything from an operations standpoint, everything I do from A to Z inside my business, give it to you in editable format so then that way you can quickly plug and play. I teach you, of course, what to do and how to do it and why to do it, walk you through all of that, but I give you everything when it comes to all of this stuff. You have daily access to me on a daily basis to help mentor and support you with any blocks that you're having. And I've also made it where it's not just the most effective real estate business building coaching program in the industry, but also made it where it's the most affordable, where it's going to be less than your daily Starbucks budget. So if you have interest in that, go check out gsdmode.com, click on that coaching tab. There's a video there that you can watch that walks through how the program works. There's also a button on there where you can schedule 100% zero pressure discovery call with me personally, where we could talk about your business, answer any questions that you have about the coaching program, see if it's a fit for you, and take it from there. All right, guys, I hope you found this helpful. Keep crushing it, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.